Help support AMTV by becoming a patron, an AMTV staff member, and following us over on Twitter. Hi there guys, it's Adam Martin here, and welcome back to another video. And just off the bat, apologies if I sound a little bit nasal, think a bit of the winter colds going round, but we're here to give you more Christmas schedule news. A lot of you seem to like the last time I did this, where I looked at the Christmas Eve, Christmas Day and Boxing Day schedules for BBC1, ITV1 and Channel 4, but a lot of you in the comments were saying, well, what about some of the other channels? Well, today I'm here to show you those same schedules on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day and Boxing Day, but this time we'll be looking at the other three main BBC channels, so we'll be looking at BBC2, BBC3 and BBC4. If you enjoy these sorts of videos, especially around this time of year, please do let me know in the comments. I've been tempted to make ones for maybe ITV2, 3, 4, maybe Channel 5 as well, some of the other channels as well that aren't necessarily the big terrestrial juggernauts. So if you enjoy this, please do leave a like on the video and let me know in the comments if you want to see more stuff like it. So let's kick off with BBC2 then. So we're on Saturday the 24th of December. So what are they offering us on the day? So this is from the actual BBC website. The schedule kicks off at 6:05 in the morning with Heaven Made, which is a repeat. There's Gardener's World, which is also a repeat at 7:05. At 8:05 you have a repeat of Country File as well, which apparently is a Christmassy flavoured one. At 8:55 you have Inside the Factory, the 2016 Christmas special, so yet again another repeat. And would you believe it, another repeat at 9:55 with a repeat screening of King of Kings, which is a colourful dramatisation of the birth, life and death of Jesus Christ. And that is a 2.5 hour epic there. So if you're particularly into, I guess, the more religious side of Christmas, or if you are a Christian, maybe that sort of thing will appeal to you. At 12:25 you have Homes Under the Hammer. It's the final in series 23 it says, but again it has the R symbol, so it's another repeat. At 12:55 you have a repeat of Bargain Hunt, a Christmas special edition there. At 1:40 you have the film North by Northwest, which is one of Alfred Hitchcock's best movies. It stars Cary Grant in it as well. Honestly, if you haven't seen North by Northwest, I highly recommend that you do. Such a great, engaging film. And if you don't own the DVD and if it's not on any streaming sites, well, it's on BBC2 at 1:40 on Christmas Eve. Then a bit of original, some new content here. At 3:55, we have Charlie Mackesy, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, the Horse, and Me. So this is I guess, an hour-long documentary about the life of the artist and illustrator, Charlie Mackesy, who was behind that book, that title, which, of course, is being adapted as an animated special, which will be screened on BBC1 on Christmas Eve and gets its repeat on Christmas Day. So if you want to learn more about the author behind it, I believe this is airing just before so by the time this documentary finishes, you can flick on over to BBC1 and watch The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, the Horse and Me. So very interesting there. At 4:55 we have the film Chariots of Fire, which of course is the story of the 1924 Olympic athletes Harold Abrams and Eric Liddell. This won the Best Picture back in the early 1980s, so again, cracking film. At 6:55 PM we have Carols from Kings, very traditional, and then at 8:10 we have a repeat of Dad's Army, a Series 7 episode, the finale of Series 7, which is called Turkey Dinner. So if you like some classic British comedy, you might enjoy tuning into a bit of Dad's Army. At 8:40 then we have Mortimer and Whitehouse Gone Fishing, which is a sort of Christmassy special. I believe these two did something recently for the BBC's 100th, so if you like their style, then you might want to flick on BBC2 at 8:40. At 9:40 you have the Christmas special of The Fast Show, although it does denote on the website that this is indeed a repeat, as is the programme on at 10:25, which is The Two Ronnies, with Christmas Night with the Two Ronnies. This is originally from 1987, so it's 35 years old this year, but if you remember that one being a particularly good Christmas special, then I'd tune in at 10:25. At 10:40, we have the review of the year 2022 on Top of the Pops. Some people were asking, why was this not on BBC One? I think it has been on BBC Two in recent years, hasn't it? So don't worry, Top of the Pops is still here, just on BBC Two at 10:40. And then rounding off at 11:40 PM, you have Absolutely Fabulous, which of course is a repeat, and the episode is Cold Turkey. So if you want a bit of AdFab to take you into Christmas Day morning, then it's there on BBC Two. But what about the big day itself? Well, on Christmas morning at 6:20, you have another episode of Heaven Made, though that's a repeat. You have a repeat of the Carols from Kings at 7:15 from the day before. You have the Saturday Kitchen Best Bites. See what they did there? Which I guess is just highlights, best moments from that show. That's on at 8:30. Then at 10 o'clock, we've got a slew of Wallace and Gromit now. So we have Wallace and Gromit, A Close Shave at 10 o'clock, which I think was the, just get my maths right, was that the third Wallace and Gromit short? Well, it's closely followed by the second Wallace and Gromit short, The Wrong Trousers. That's at 10:35, which I think is one of the best ones. And then at 11:05, we have A Matter of Loath and Death, which was screened in 2008. I remember when that was on in 2008, and I really loved it. I love Wallace and Gromit anyway, but to see a new special like that was really, really cool. So if you want a triple threat of Wallace and Gromit on Christmas Day, BBC2 is the channel for you between 10 o'clock and 11:30. At 11:35, we have the film White Christmas from 1954. Now, I actually recently just watched this with my partner, not on BBC2, on DVD, and I actually quite liked it. You know, it is old-fashioned to a degree in, like, the plot or how it's set up, but it's very wholesome. Bing Crosby and Danny K. Starr, they're actually quite amusing. There's a great chemistry. So I'd recommend, if there's one classic Christmas film that you haven't seen before, White Christmas is a solid bet to go with. At 1:30, you have Matthew Bourne's Nutcracker. Now, Matthew Bourne is known for interpreting classical ballets in a very modern way. I did actually see his version of Swan Lake, which I really enjoyed some years ago, and Cinderella. So if you're into ballet, but like a more modern, different abstract interpretation of ballet, then you can definitely see it on BBC2. And I believe that carries on a tradition. I think ballet was always shown on BBC2 on Christmas Day, or something, you know, of the classical nature. So that's on at 1:30. At 3 o'clock, The King's Speech is here, because that goes on BBC2 as well as BBC1 and ITV. And then at 3:10, you have another classic film, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. Now, I haven't seen this film myself. I believe it stars Marilyn Monroe. So, again, if you want classic films, then it's there for you. And if you want more Marilyn, she is also on at 4:40 with the classic film Some Like It Hot, which I know a lot of people have a lot of affection for. At 6:35, you have another episode of Dad's Army, the 1975 Christmas special, actually, My Brother and I. So again, if you want more of your Dad's Army fix, that repeat is there for you. At 7:15, we have another repeat, The Morecambe and Wise Show, again, a long-standing British Christmas tradition. This is the special from 1972, so it's 50 years old this year. So if you want some classic Eric and Ernie, then that's on at 7:15. Then from 8:25, carrying on through till Boxing Day morning, we've got a triple threat of Tina Turner, the superstar performer. So at 8:25, you have Tina Turner at the BBC, which is a collection of performances from the singer. And then at 9:25, you have When Tina Turner Came to Britain, which is a story of her, it says, 50-year relationship with the UK in her own words. So that sounds interesting. And then at 10:25, going on until 20 to 1 in the morning, you have Tina Live, which is a Tina Turner live performance from the Netherlands that was filmed back in 2009. So if that in that Tina Turner triple threat, two of those are repeats, but the middle program, the When She Came to Britain, that is a new program there. So if you're a Tina Turner fan, well, Christmas Day is going to come early for you, isn't it? So you can round off Christmas Day with Tina from 8:25 until the morning on BBC2. And that pretty much wraps up Christmas Day on the channel. Then we go on to Boxing Day. What have they got? Well, at 6:15 in the morning, for I guess those children who still have lots of Christmas excitement about them, they'll be up early. You can catch the 2019 version of Aladdin, which I believe will have been on BBC1 on Christmas Day itself. Then at 8:15, you have Charles Dickens and the Invention of Christmas, which is a documentary presented by Griff Rhys-Jones, revealing how Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol popularised Christmas. And I might give that a watch, actually. It does say it's a repeat, but I've not seen this one before, but I might tune into that one. At 9:15, you have the film Great Expectations, which again is a Charles Dickens classic. This is the 1946 version starring John Mills. Then at 11:10, you have the celebrity special of Bargain Hunt from series 59. It does say this is a repeat though, however, so keep that in mind. Then at 5 to 12, you have a repeat of an episode of the Great British Railway Journeys. It's the opening episode of series 13, which it says is Biggin Hill to Ashdown Forest. So if you like your trains, that's one for you there. At 12:25, you have Escape to Athena, which of course is a group of Allied prisoners of war plan their escape with Roger Moore and David Niven. So a classic film there. They like the classic films at Christmas, don't they? At 2:20 in the afternoon, you have the heroes of Telemark, or Telmark, the Norwegian resistance trying to destroy a Nazi heavy water plant, starring Kirk Douglas. You know, everyone likes a war picture at Christmas, it seems. Then at 4:30, we have Final Score, which is just all of the results and scores from Boxing Day football matches. At 5:30, you have The Magnificent Seven. I believe that is the original film, The Magnificent Seven. Villagers in a small settlement hire a group of gunfighters to protect them from the bandits. So if you want some Western action, that's on BBC2 at 5:30 on Boxing Day. At 7:30, you have a new episode of Richard Osman's House of Games, which is a part of the festive specials they've been doing there. At 8 o'clock, you have Only Connect, another series of specials. This is Endeavours versus Whodunits. At 8:30, you have a new episode of University Challenge, which sees UCL versus the University of Aberdeen. At 9 o'clock, you have Detectorists, a brand new special of that one. Not too familiar with that programme. Would people recommend that? Because I'm not really familiar with this one. And then rounding off Boxing Day, going into the early hours of the 27th, at 10:15 p.m, you have Goodfellas, the Martin Scorsese classic, that one of the most popular gangster films ever made, based on the true story of Henry Hill. So if you haven't seen Goodfellas and you want to check it out, that's on BBC2 at 10:15 in the evening. So just to round off on BBC2, there's a lot of repeats, which is a big criticism for a lot of the channels, that they're just recycling content. And I think it's partly to do with the way television's changed from the more analog to the digital world. You know, in the analog days, there was no internet, there was no streaming sites, so creating brand new content every year with one or two familiar favourites repeated each year was the norm. Whereas now, with such competition, I don't know, maybe some production companies or broadcasters feel it's not worth pumping as much money into having a whole day full of brand new content. And how about we just, it's gone the other way. Like, how about we just make one or two new specials and then fill the schedules with old films, repeats and stuff like that. It's each to their own, of course. Some people love it, some people will hate it. I would love to see The Wizard of Oz on one of the main channels, because I remember that being a thing every year, even when I was a kid, or at least it felt like it anyway, and it was for a long time. So we'll see if it's on BBC3 and 4. Doubt it is, but let's move on now to those channels. So BBC3, now keep in mind this only starts broadcasting at 7 p.m. It goes, I believe, from 7 p.m. and their broadcast hours 7 p.m. until 4 a.m. I think that's about right. So that's roughly, quick maths, it's about 9 hours of broadcast content. So Christmas Eve, what is BBC3 offering? Well, from 7 o'clock, you've got EastEnders. This is the episode from the 19th of December. And then at 7:30, you've got the episode from the 20th. And so on and so forth. So basically, from 7 o'clock until 9 o'clock, it's wall-to-wall EastEnders. It's 4 episodes worth. All episodes broadcast from the 19th till the 23rd. I guess it's just providing a pseudo-omnibus, even though it isn't an omnibus, but it's a pseudo-omnibus chance to catch up with EastEnders if you missed it. Although it makes me question, with the iPlayer and stuff, aren't most people going to do that rather than tune into BBC3? You'd expect, especially since BBC3 relaunched on TV this year, you'd expect some original content to kick it off, but nevertheless, doesn't matter. So what have we got at 9 o'clock then? Well, we actually have a screening of a Christmas film, which is Last Christmas, which has only been out for a few years, I think. The premise is, when Kate meets Tom, her life takes an upward turn, but is it too good to be true? I've heard very mixed things about this film. Some people seem to love it, some people seem to hate it. I haven't seen it myself. Would you recommend it? Anyone out there? Then at 10:35, you have a repeat of the Bad Education Christmas special. I'm guessing they've done this because the Bad Education, I think, is returning either for a special or for a series. Is it next year? Something like that. The show's about 10 years old. Jack Whitehall, of course, plays the lead, so they're getting you geared up for that. At 11:05 until 20 past midnight, so for an hour and 15 minutes, you have 3 episodes of the series Prue. Now, I'm not familiar with this myself. It's Series 1, Episodes 1, 2, and 3. It's a 5-episode series. And again, I'm not too familiar with what this show is. Oh, actually, I stand corrected. It goes on. So Series 1, Episode 4 of Prue is on at 20 past midnight. So from 11:05 until 1:45 in the morning, you can watch 4 episodes of Prue, if that takes your fancy. Again, not really sure what the catch is. Would you recommend it? At 1:45, the Bad Education Christmas special is being repeated again, in case you missed it, 2 and a bit hours earlier. Then at 1:15, you have the Bad Education reunion special. Oh, okay, so it'll have already broadcast by then, because it's marked here with the repeat symbol. So I'm not sure when the reunion special is originally airing, but by the time you see it on, well, it'll be Christmas Day morning at 1:15, it'll have already been. At 2 o'clock in the morning, on the early hours of Christmas Day, you have Freeze, Back on Thin Ice episode 1, which is elite UK skaters go head-to-head in the hope of securing places at the Winter Olympics. I might check that out. It does say it's a repeat, but I do like my ice skating. I did train for a few years to be a figure skater, so I might quite enjoy that, actually. At 2:45, you have Dating with My Ex, which is a repeat. It's one of the celebrity specials there. Followed at 3:15, but with a repeat of Lazy Susan, the opening episode of that there. And then at 3:30, just for good measure, in case you missed it the previous 2 times, you can watch that Bad Education Christmas special once again. And that is BBC3 on Christmas Eve into the early hours of Christmas morning. So what about Christmas Day then? Well, of course, it starts at 7 p.m. with Celebrity MasterChef, a repeat. It's the Christmas Cook-Off 2022. I'm not sure if this is being on another BBC channel, but it says repeat, so maybe it was earlier, like before the big day itself. At 8 o'clock, you have the 2008 Gavin and Stacey Christmas special, which is a classic, I'm not going to lie. Big fan of that. At 9 o'clock, you have the finale of Canada's Drag Race, which is a big surprise to people. I know Drag Race is this huge phenomenon and it's really taken off, but the Canadian one on Christmas Day on BBC3, who would have thunk it? But anyway, you know, that is it. It is on Christmas Day at 9 o'clock on BBC3. That is the crown jewel of this channel's schedule. So if you're a Drag Race fan and you want to see which Canadian drag artist wins, you can check it out there. At 10 o'clock, you have a repeat of the Series 2 Christmas special of Cuckoo, which stars Greg Davis and Taylor Lautner. I never really watched this show, so I'm not sure if it was worth my time personally. And then at 10:35 and at 11:20, you have 2 episodes from the first series of Wreck. And again, not really sure what this is necessarily about. Would you recommend it? Is it worth my time? And then, as you'd probably expect, you know, going into the early hours, it's all repeats. So at 5 past midnight, you've got the Gavin and Stacey Christmas special again from 2008. At 5 past 1, you have that Cuckoo Series 2 Christmas special. At 20 to 2, you have episode 2 of Freeze, although that is a repeat as well. At 2:25 in the morning, you've got the Gavin and Stacey Christmas special again, and then at 3:25 you have Cuckoo again. So, you know, a lot of repeats there on Christmas Day. I guess the main thing would be the Drag Race. That'll definitely drag a lot of people in. That was no pun intended. I just realized what I said. No pun intended there. I think Wreck was a big show. Was it on BBC1 or 2? Maybe I might check some of that out. I'm not too sure. Gavin and Stacey's always welcome to see, although why they don't also have the 2019 Christmas special there is a bit baffling. Why only the 2008 one? And then moving on to Boxing Day. So at 7 o'clock when BBC3 opens, we have a repeat of Press X to Continue, which is a series about gaming by the looks of it. And this episode's about diversity in gaming. At 10 past 7, oh, it's only 10 minutes. Well, at 10 past 7, you have The Wrong Trousers, which, as we saw, was on BBC2 on Christmas Day. At 7:40, you have a screening of The Secret Life of Pets 2. So if you missed a screening of that earlier on, or if you haven't seen it, then, well, you can check it out on BBC3. At 9 o'clock, you have the 10th episode of The Traitors, which by then that will make it a repeat screening. So if you want to check that out, you can, because it's then followed by episodes 11 and 12 of The Traitors at 10 and 11. So basically, if you want to watch the last 3 episodes of The Traitors, you can, basically, because there it is. And then at 5 past midnight, you have the Bad Education reunion special. At 10 to 1 in the morning, you have Planet Sex with Cara Delevingne. This episode is What's Your Gender? This is a repeat screening, though. At 1:35 and 2:20, you have those first 2 episodes of Wreck again. I don't know why they just didn't continue on with it, you know, like with 3 and 4 as well, like they did on Christmas Day. It seems a bit odd, but nevertheless. And we finish with Freeze, the first episode again at 5 minutes past 3. So the BBC3 one's really baffling. I know it's not like one of the main channels, so I expected a lot of repeated content, but to repeat the same things over and over again in such a short space of time, like, who is this for? Like, you know, we have the iPlayer, and I know not everyone has access to the internet, but particularly with BBC3, where the programs are meant to be aimed at the, you know, 18 to 35 demographic, out of that demographic, I'd argue a very slim percentage of them probably, you know, wouldn't necessarily go to BBC3, they go to BBC iPlayer. So it does baffle me a bit. There's 1 or 2 highlights there, but I'm a bit disappointed with BBC3 there, to be honest. Now let's round off with BBC4, shall we? So like BBC3, this has limited broadcast hours. It starts at 7 p.m. I do expect this to be all repeats, or mostly repeats. So we have a repeat of the 2 Ronnies, the studio recordings there, which is unedited takes of some famous and not so famous sketches from the pair. At 7:30, you have Christmas with Val Doonican, for those who might be interested in that. At 10 past 8, you have the Classical Collection, which isn't a repeat, it says. It says, enjoy a festive ride through decades of Christmas classical music broadcast on BBC TV. So that's an interesting concept. At 10 past 9, you have Organ Stop, Saving the King of Instruments, which is a new documentary following the enthusiasts battling to save Britain's pipe organs. So if you're a pipe organ enthusiast, that's there for you. And at 10 past 10, we have a screening of the film Their Finest, which is a really good film set in the wartime. Highly, highly recommend it. Bill Nighy is one of the actors in it, and I love most things he does. So if you haven't seen that film, it's there on BBC4 at 10 past 10. At bang on midnight, we have a repeat of The Last Igloo, a meditative and poetic sensory immersion into the world of a lone Inuit hunter. I like a lot of immersion stuff, sensory immersion, so that actually sounds really cool. It's on for an hour and a half, so if you can't get to sleep on Christmas Eve, well, at midnight, BBC4's got the thing for you. At 1:30, we have What Were We Watching, where Grace Dent looks at the television shows Britain was watching at Christmas 1988. So if you want to blast from the past, that is there for you. That actually sounds really interesting. I'd be curious to check that out, to be honest. At 2:30, then, you've got another screening of The Christmas with Val Doonican, finishing off at 3:10 in the morning with Some People with Jokes, a more Christmassy special where Father Christmases from across Britain share their favourite jokes. Nice wholesome end to Christmas Eve on BBC4. Moving on to Christmas Day itself, we have at 7 p.m. A Christmas Carol, a ghost story. So Mark Gatiss has been a champion of the traditional ghost story in recent years, and he's made original ones over the last few years. I'm not sure if there was another original one this year. However, if it is this, what this is Mark Gatiss's theatrical production of Charles Dickens's classic ghost story, and the director of it was a guy called Adam Pentford, who I worked with a very long time ago in my drama school days, so that'll be fun to see. That's on at 7 o'clock on Christmas Day on BBC4. At 8:45 you have A Musical Family Christmas with the Canna Masons, which it says is a repeat, not too familiar with the show itself though. At 9:45 you have another episode of the Classical Collection, this time focusing on a specific artist. At 10:45, you have Victoria Wood, The Secret List, which is a repeat, but it says over 20 sketches handpicked by Victoria from her first solo series. So if you want some classic Victoria Wood comedy, that is there for you. You get another episode of that at 11:45 there, and which ends at 1:45 in the morning. And at 1:45 in the morning, you get a Christmas episode of Dinner Ladies, a repeat of that there. So that is from Series 2, but it is obviously set at Christmas. And then at 1:20 in the morning, you get that Two Ronnies programme rebroadcast again. And then at 1:50 in the morning, you get Top of the Pops Christmas Hits, where it says Madness, E17, Coldplay, The Human League, Pet Shop Boys, Slade, Mud, and many more. So if you like all that, then that's there for you at 1:50 in the morning on Boxing Day morning. And then on Boxing Day itself, what have we got? At 7 p.m, we've got Winter Walks with the Reverend Richard Coles, who I believe used to be part of the Communards there. At 7:30, you've got Great Continental Railway Journeys, Series 7 shortened versions, it says, Episode 4 there. So it says Michael travels across Paris, heading from Montparnasse, don't know if I'm saying that right, to the cellars of Champagne. At 8 o'clock, you have the Royal Institution Christmas Lectures. I believe this is literally a yearly thing that's happened for ages now. It says 2022 Dead Body. It's the first of 3 programs. Professor Sue Black tells the life story of a 1,000-year-old skeleton. So, hey, if that's your thing, that's there on Boxing Day at 8 p.m. At 9 p.m, you have Robbie Coltrane at the BBC, which is a tribute to the actor who, of course, passed away earlier this year. So, again, really nice that they're deciding to do that. That's on Boxing Day at 9 p.m. on BBC4. At 9:45, you have Richard Wilson Remembers Tutti Frutti, where Richard Wilson recalls his role as manager of the Majestics in Tutti Frutti. Followed then at 10 o'clock with Tutti Frutti, the first episode of it at least, called The Boy Can't Help It. And you also get the second episode at 11 o'clock. And then at midnight, you have The Sky at Night. This is a repeat. It says The Real Star of Bethlehem, a Christmas special. So if that's your thing, that's there for you. At 1 o'clock in the morning, you have a repeat of an episode of Hope Street. And then at 1:45, you get that Winter Walks programme again. And then at 2:15, you get the Great Continental Railway Journeys. And then at 2:45, the Royal Christmas Lecture is repeated again. And thus rounding off BBC4 on Boxing Day. So in summary, well, BBC4, again, I expected that to be mainly filled with repeats and rather niche content, because that's what BBC4, I guess, sort of specialises in. I think overall, though, with these 3, what we can learn from it, like I said, I think in the digital world, it seems to have moved from let's create a whole bunch of new programmes with 1 or 2 repeats to the other way. Let's have mostly repeats, maybe save some money, and let's just make 1 or 2 new programmes. Now, I'm fine with that, but I think the trouble with that is when you're making like new programmes, the BBC in principle is trying to appeal to everybody, you know, a whole breadth of people with different interests, different backgrounds, all that sort of stuff. And when you only make 1 or 2 new programmes, you know, there's bound to be a big swath of people that might not be into it, and then they'll be drawn elsewhere. And I mean, they might be drawn elsewhere anyway. You know, as we've discussed many a time, the BBC has not only got 1, 2, or 3 competitors anymore, it's got hundreds, it's got thousands. So the fact they're still making these original programmes is testament enough. But I don't know, I just, looking at these 3 channels, BBC2, BBC3, BBC4, I don't want to sound disingenuous, but I think I kind of expected a bit more excitement over the Christmas schedules. Like, BBC1 had a lot to be desired as well, but there was a few bits there that would keep me coming back, and, you know, to some degree as well on ITV and Channel 4, but on the BBC sister channels, bar 1 or 2 things, do you know what I mean? I mean, what's gonna get me in? And I get, you know, maybe they're not necessarily as high a priority as BBC1. That is the flagship channel. I understand that. But it's just, I just find them really interesting to, you know, break this down and look at what they're screening at Christmas. I hope you've enjoyed it as well. As I said at the start of the video, if you want to see me do this for other channels, like, you know, maybe ITV234, or for Channel 5, or for some of the, I don't know, some stuff on Sky, or whatever. Like, if you want to see me do more of this, please do let me know in the comments, and I may make more of them before the big day itself. Who knows? In the meantime, though, if you did enjoy this video, please leave a like on it. We'd really appreciate it. And leave your comments down below. What do you think of the Christmas schedules here for the BBC's sister channels? Do you think they're up to snuff, or do you think they're a little bit disappointing? Let me know in those comments. Also, subscribe to the channel if you are brand new. We would love to have you aboard here with us. I've been Adam Martyn from AMTV. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Thank you to our patrons for helping to support the show, and a special thank you to Macra, Hooks Media, Ben Freeman, Ethan Carberry-Holt, Bruce Danton, The Broken Kitsumanoid, Toboast Krotz, Globe of Reviews, Trev Hughes, Kevin Aikman, Derek Chambers, Sean Knock, Bailey Green, and DSTV New Zealand, our AMTV staff members.